sound is okay, Manu. If you're there, help us out, help us out. Hi everybody, hope you're doing well today. Okay. Everything sounds good? Yep, everything sounds good. So here we are. Today an interesting thing happened I saw on social media. Will Smith, of course, is known for jumping on new things and innovating and blazing new trails. But today there was news on social media that he had jumped into the NFT space, and he's going into the metaverse as well. There's actually a clip of him doing some stuff in the metaverse, action shots, I guess. And let's talk about that today. Let's talk about this, because remember, this month we're focusing on the future, right? On what is coming for 2022 and beyond. And of course, Mark Zuckerberg is talking about the metaverse and things like NFT and cryptocurrency and all that being mainstream. I'm telling you, mainstream, which is important. Which is why we got to talk about it, because in a lot of people, it's astonishing. Like, on the internet, a lot of how should I say, artists, a lot of famous people is what I would say, a lot of cutting edge people who are on the cusp of innovation and new things. They're blazing new trails, right? They're in the metaverse, they're in the crypto space and NFT. They're all the hip hop musicians and stars and all those people. They're already on that platform. But astonishingly, a lot of mainstream people, average people on the main street like me and you, us, we're not caught up in that world. It's like a different world is opening up, and we're way back here, and thinking, either we're confused and we don't know what's going on, or we're waiting for something to propel us forward. We want to make that difference. So of course, in the show, the Quality Life show, where we talk about the authoring your future and living the designed life, which we are setting out as a company to cause for you, to make you live that kind of life. Not make you, but once you're with us, to give you the tools and technologies and training and tips and all those things that you need, right? All to equip you fully and empower you to live this future that we're marching into. Actually, the future that is rushing towards us. And all this month, last week, the entire week we dealt with it, the videos that they are on YouTube and Facebook. But this week we want to continue with that. And today, I want to delve into this new world that is opening up with NFT and cryptocurrency and the metaverse, because a lot of people are confused what is going on. And astonishingly, Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook is in the driving seat of this new future opening up, especially the metaverse, right? And Zuckerberg is saying within 3 to 5 years, and he used this phrase, he said as a conservative estimate. So if it's a conservative estimate, it means he's making it the longest that it could take. So I guess within 2 years, so by 2022, the end of 2022 or so, you're going to see a lot of these AR, not even VR, because we're moving beyond VR. We're moving into AR, and I want to talk a bit about AR. So here's the thing: if you're with us, if you're watching this show, or if you see the recording of it at some point, know that we are setting out for the people who are not plugged into the world of these trailblazers, the innovators, the startup guys like Gary V and all, and Zuckerberg and all that, and you don't have time, you don't have energy, or you don't know how to look into the future. We're doing that work for you, right? We're doing that work, and we're going to bring the information to you, and we hope we can motivate you and inspire you to go beyond just existing and breezing through your day without realizing that the future is actually opening up very, very fast. And if we don't at least become aware, at least become sensitive, but also become knowledgeable about that future that is opening up, we'll be left behind. So I think a lot of people in this 21st century, first of all, after COVID, post-COVID, from 2022 onwards, and that's why we're focusing on the future for this December 2021, because 2022 is when a lot of the future, the implementation of the future, the execution of it, you're going to see a lot of things. For example, AR glasses. We're seeing even virtual reality quickly become extinct. Even virtual reality. And so now we're moving into a place of augmented reality. And let's focus on that phrase for a little bit. Augmented reality. So people say to us, and even they're saying, even Gary Vee, one of the biggest influencers online, had a video where he said people were saying to him, the physical things are more important than virtual things, right? And he went through a whole video showing that is not so with NFT. Because what we're moving into, the virtual, beyond the virtual space, what we're moving into is AR, which is augmented reality. So it's reality as we know it, magnified and magnified and magnified. It's augmented. It's made even more real. So reality made more real. That's what we're talking about. And we're looking at Zuckerberg said conservatively, it could be within the next 3 to 5 years that this future that we're talking about, augmented reality, where human beings, the entire human society on the face of the earth, moves into a new space, a new reality called augmented or magnified or realer than reality as we know it today. Right? And we gotta prepare for that. And we prepare for it through this show, for example, and we're gonna have, of course, in 2022 we're ramping up our operation. We talked about that before, we won't go back into it again. But we want to play that role of letting you know, bridge that gap between these crazies on the internet who are jumping into NFT and crypto and metaverse and talking this weird language. They're talking about mining stuff and all those things, mining NFT and drop and this and that. The whole language is emerging, and the average person is swamped and overwhelmed, right? Because it's not easy information to take in. I mean, there's a club, there's a social club that launched today, and before they're on Discord, so there's this social media channel called Discord, because I know some people who are watching me wouldn't be okay with some of the things that are going on. In fact, I learned about those Discord from my son, who's 14 years old, and he taught me that when he was 12 years old. He was on it since he was 8 or 10, I guess, 9 or 10. On Discord, and on Discord, so this social platform, this club launched, and I won't mention the name of the club because honestly we won't promote them. But there's a social club that launched today. They launched their website today. They didn't even have a website, and these people launched on Discord. And before they launch, as a metaverse club, as a club in the metaverse, as a social club, the very first social club in the metaverse, those people had 50,000 members. 50,000 members before they launched. And they launched today, their website launched today. Maybe I'll see tomorrow's Tuesday, so tomorrow I could maybe see if we could share the website. I don't know, I think about it, right? Because it's a fantastic thing. Imagine they had 50,000 people signed up in their social club. It wasn't done before. You talk about reality before. Which social club online, an actual social club, had 50,000 members? None. But now we have one in the metaverse, which people don't even understand yet what the metaverse is. And here the metaverse is delivering a social club. Today, I'm sure they hit 100,000 members today. Up to yesterday, last night, they had 50,000 members. And of course I became a member just to check it out and see what it is. But of course because we have a club as well, the Quartet Club. And that's the future of clubs, of social clubs. All our grads would be part of this social club. Authors of the future, right? Society, the authors of the future society. So a whole world is opening up out there, a whole new world, and it's happening so fast. It's happening with lightning speed, and we want to play a role we're setting out to play the role of bridging that gap between Main Street and this world that is opening up that is on the ground floor. A lot of people are jumping in, but the ones who are jumping in and taking advantage of the opportunities that are opened up and are available are the ones who would benefit and become the new millionaires and the new billionaires, maybe the new trillionaires. And we're not talking about money, we're talking about power and influence. Because that's what our thing is. Our thing is, what power do you have, what influence do you have to touch the heart of humanity? Well, you need money to do it, you need economic means, you need resources, but our goal is not, our value system is not profit and gathering in money. Our value system is how powerful a platform can you build so that you stand on the center of that stage with your message to mankind, right? We can't do it without considering the road that we're on into the future, which is one of technology, which is one of media. Technology and media, those two things are, if you don't know anything about technology or anything about media, if you're not thinking like that, you're going to be left behind. So we could end up having a whole generation globally, not a lot, because I think the way society is structurally set up now, global society, we will force people to get into the internet world, into the digital world, because that's reality now. Reality is not physical space anymore. But a lot of people, billions of people are still in that space. And the transition is going to be hard, which is one of the reasons COVID is there, because you got to kind of disrupt society to make changes. People love their status quo, they love their comfort zone, even though they might complain about it. They don't want to get off that sofa watching TV and create a whole new world of designing NFT and trading NFT, right? Even if they say, oh, I want to be an NFT millionaire, for them to do it and learn the process and the knowledge of doing it, they won't get up and do it. That's the average human being, right? The average human being is not a go-getter. The average human being used to be in the feudal age a peasant, a farmer, agricultural worker, and then in the industrial age became a worker, became an employee. That's the mindset of the average human being. The average human being is not a go-getter. They don't get up and get. But we want to make that difference for a core of people who would join us in authoring the future and creating the kind of future that we think is possible, that we imagine is possible for humanity in this 21st century, in this knowledge age. Remember last week we say we're in the knowledge age, we're in the technology age, we're in the digital age, and we are in the age of personal empowerment. Your empowerment and my empowerment. How is that empowerment coming about? By things like NFT. Now NFT, a lot of people are confused by NFT. I am a little bit confused as well. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but for the little I understand about NFT is the ultimate democratization of wealth, of economics. Economics before had classes, right? You had the upper class, the rich, the 1%, the billionaires and the millionaires and the trillionaires, and then you had the middle class, who were, people working and paying their bills and hardly have money left over, living paycheck to paycheck. This is a global phenomenon. And then you have the poor. And nowadays, thankfully, we don't have gross poverty, but we do have the poor. And it's a big section of society, the poor. In fact, a huge swath of North America, I think Europe as well, you have opioid addicts. And downtown our city, Oshawa, it's an eyesore. The social situation is awful. Like it used to be in Skid Row, which they're now cleaning up in California. And parts of Philadelphia and all those places, these inner cities and homeless sections, they're devastating in the richest countries in the world I'm talking about. Those things are coming to an end for the simple reason that we had seen politics democratized with democracy, with free and fair elections after World War II, and nations came into being. Politics was no longer dictators and monarchies with kings and queens handing on power to the next generation, right? We got rid of that. It became socially unacceptable for a dictatorship to operate in the world. The same thing is happening now, astonishingly, with economics, because economics never democratized. You had the super rich, you had the middle class, and you had the poor. You still have them today. NFT is, as far as I understand, NFT is changing that from this perspective because of blockchain, right? Blockchain is the technology on which NFT, which is non-fungible token, it's a new form of ownership. NFT is a new form of ownership, where whenever you trade that ownership, it's a contract, right? NFT is really contracts. It's digital contracts that are entrenched in blockchain or encryption. And every time somebody trades that NFT, that blockchain encryption code, which is what the graphic is really behind the scenes in the coding part of it, is this encryption code that is tied into a blockchain. And every time that thing is traded, the income from it, the revenue from it, the wealth from it is shared among the first originator of it, the creator, and everybody else who trades it. So in other words, we have a concept like that in our formula, which we dealt with on one show before, CMQ. Part of CMQ is cooperative money, which is a concept we designed about years ago, 3, 4, 5 years ago, and or maybe that, maybe 2 years, but definitely no, at least 3 or 4 years. We came up with the concept of cooperative money and made it into a formula, which is our business model that we give to you, right, when you join us, and help you work it and develop your intellectual property. Now, what cooperative money is the same concept that NFT is today, and I'm astonished to see that NFT actually is money cooperating among all the people who trade or take ownership at some point of that NFT. It's a little bit complex to explain. I don't know if it's coming across with any clarity if I'm explaining it the way I understand it, but what I mean is with NFT, for the first time, economics is democratized. Democracy operates around economics. What I mean by that is that it's an equal playing field. Nobody could dominate with NFTs and all that. Now, there's one musician, I forget his name, he has some, these hip-hop guys, they have weird names. But this guy traded his NFT, and within like half an hour, he got 1 million of them sold. Now, every person who bought that NFT, out of the 1 million, they get a piece of the pie. They share some of the wealth. So he is the originator of it. So every time he traded, he got a percentage, whatever percentage he put in of royalty that he put in, and he created an NFT. Because you got to do that. When you create the NFT and start trading it, you got to put how many percentage you want to retain of any trade that happens anytime itself. You get 20% or whatever of the royalty, right? So every one of that 1 million that is sold, he got money from. So he became a millionaire. But every other person also who traded out of that 1 million people, they all got a piece of the pie. That's astonishing. That's why NFT is so popular, and that's why NFT is going to be the future. It is the future, and we want to be in our company. When you come on board with us and build your Sims book, we will trade it as an NFT, right? My goal is now, we're working on it, is to take my book covers, I have 10 book covers, and make them into NFTs and trade them out there as an author. So the point I'm getting at is that there's a whole new world opening up for the individual person, for you and I. If we're creative, you gotta be creative, right? But not only creative, any skill you have, any expertise, and those are the people we want with us on this journey that we're on. If you have mastery in something, not master's degree, but you master some kind of trade or some kind of skill or some kind of creativity, some talent, whatever it is. And if you're an expert at something, if you got skills, then we want you on board. Because what we can do is take that, you have to convert it into media products. This is the other amazing thing. You got to know about the future, that unless you, remember we're moving into augmented reality. Reality that is augmented. The word augmented means it's bigger than it was before, right? It's more real. Reality that is realer than real, which is what augmented reality means. So it's a new type of reality that is bigger than this physical space, that is more real than this physical space. Check out the meaning of the word augmented, because AR is going to be the word of the future. Augmented reality, just like AI became such a household name of recent. Artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence will run robots, and artificial intelligence is behind the scenes, the language that is running AR, which is augmented reality. Now VR, virtual reality, would exist, of course, just like screens would be there, but they would be like, those old big massive computers and your big TV with a tube at the back instead of flat screen. They're like collector's items, right? They're like antiques. That's how VR is going to be. Even VR, much less screens than we have now, like this phone and all that. It's going obsolete. And we're talking within 2 to 3 years. We're talking before 3, because Zuckerberg said 3 to 5 years conservatively. So these guys don't work conservatively. They're very, very aggressive. They push through these things because it's all business of power. And so we expect within 2 years, within the end of 2022, you're going to see these AR glasses, augmented reality glasses literally like this, not a big thing like Quest, but these ones, where you can see through the lenses, but there is projector, there is antenna, well not physical antenna, but there is an antenna inside that collects that picks up internet, of course, and makes it smart. So you're going to see those things, and you're going to be able to download the internet and project the screen in front of you and be in the metaverse. And this is the future. As astonishing as it sounds, this is the future for fitness, for business, for working in offices, for writers, everybody. That's the future. That's the future. And it's coming very, very soon, and we must prepare for it. So if you're creative, not even creative, but if you have skills, if you have a mastery in something, even an electrician or a construction person, whatever you can do that is a skill that you own the intellectual property for that thing. You have to. This is one of the crucial things, and this is what we're talking about, the future, right? What is necessary in the future? So technology is necessary. You have to know technology, and the technology that is coming is AR, augmented reality. Now we don't need to bother ourselves with the ins and outs of AR because the big companies are already, they are going to build the platforms. Facebook and Google, Microsoft, even Amazon, they're all going to Alibaba too. They will all build the platform for augmented reality and the metaverse, and for us to communicate with these glasses. Well, not communicate, but for us to exist with these glasses. We're augmenting our reality with AR glasses. That's what's really going to happen, and is already happening. So by next year, by this time next year, we'll see a lot of those glasses on the market, especially from Facebook, and possibly from Google, and definitely from Apple. We're going to see those glasses on the market, and so by 2023, we're on the brink of going into mainstream with it, and by 2024, definitely will be mainstream. By 2025 is a completely different world we're living in. We're living in a different world. Do you know, in 2024, the Olympics would be in France, Paris, and you know what they're using to bring athletes to the Olympic Village in France in 2024? Flying taxis. If you don't believe me, check the story out. They're designing in the sky virtual lanes for flying taxis. The taxis would bring in athletes from wherever they're staying, even into France from overseas, to the Olympic Village, and they would have these lanes that would secure safety and all that. They're working out the architecture of it. But can you imagine by 2024, we're watching Olympics and we're seeing flying taxis bringing the athletes and moving them out to the village when they have to leave after a performance. So the world is opening up so very, very fast that we've got to be on the ball with it, right? We have to be on the ball with it. And that's the role we're setting out to play. Let's dance with the future. Let's play with the future. I know a lot of people are taking up with today, right? Everybody, and especially now Christmas time, everybody's thinking, let me prepare for Christmas, I gotta buy Christmas presents, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, and enjoy the season. We're different. Not that we're not gonna enjoy Christmas, we will, or the season. But more importantly, we're preparing for 2022 and gearing our company and gearing ourselves and our people to be on that ground floor, the same way people are doing with NFT right now and cryptocurrency, to get in on what the future is all about. Because the future is leaving a lot of people behind. I estimate more than 1 billion people out of 8 billion people on the planet, maybe 2 billion people, would be left behind in the digital age and they would be the poor people. Not because they don't have money, right? I mean, people with money might be able to access the new society, the new world. But people not necessarily economically poor, digitally and technologically poor, they would be left out of society. They would be able to enjoy life, right? And it's amazing to listen to these guys talk about this metaverse. And Gary Vee had a interview. My friend Mano, who's part of our company, sent me this video that Zuckerberg had an interview with Gary Vee, who was a big influencer online, on his podcast, and said, and what some of the things they talked about was like human behavior. So a lot of the future that we're moving into is based on basic human psychology and human behavior, on how we have behaved for centuries and for millennia, right? Human behavior, human nature is at work. And can you imagine that? Can you imagine that the new technologies tapping into not just economics, not just money, not just power, not just politics, but to reshape human nature, to reshape how we behave socially and individually. For example, one of the things that Zuckerberg talks about is we love to, how should I say it? Our identity is important to us. Zuckerberg actually said this, and let me talk about it, just to show you what kind of future we're moving into. That this is the kind of consideration and concern that we will take on. For example, we don't have the perspective that we live life to enhance our identity to the world. But Zuckerberg knew that. This guy is so brilliant. He recognized that one of the drivers for human behavior globally, it's human nature stuff, not restricted to any one culture or any one nationality, but human beings on the whole, even tribal communities that are not in the mainstream of society, they augment their bodies with piercings or with different paintings and different things, right? Because they're looking for identity, a kind of identity. We do it in modern society with fashion. We dress in a certain way because we want the world to look at us and respect who we identify as our identity. That person is dressed, certain way, they behave a certain fashion, the way we behave, the way we talk, the kind of people we surround ourselves with. It's all geared towards establishing for ourselves an ego of identity, if I may put it that way. Zuckerberg didn't use that word, but I'm going to use it. We have an ego of identity where we want to be respected, we want to be loved, we want to be accepted. And so this is a big part, this is a big psychology of human behavior that is driving humanity into the future. Now you might say to me, why are you talking to me about this? And this is not important, it's academic stuff. It's for professionals to deal with. We don't concern ourselves with it. That's precisely the problem. The average person on the face of the earth doesn't concern themselves with these things. Human behavior, psychology of human behavior, metaphors, NFT, we don't care about those things. Let us work up pay our bills and whatever. Our society changes, we will adapt and we will move with it. Fine, there is a place for that. Not for our crowd, not for our people. We're setting out to be different. When smartphones took over, and landlines, ordinary phones became, even some places in the world never had landlines, like parts of Africa, even parts of India, parts of China. They jumped straight from no phone whatsoever to smartphones, right? And when that world came in, I think in the 90s, when smartphones became the mainstream of society, they augmented our reality. Our reality was no longer without a smartphone. Is life real anymore? It's debatable, right? It's debatable. How can life be real if we don't have any smartphone anymore? Now you might say, oh, I can touch something, I can feel it, I can see it, I can hear it, therefore it's real. Yes, it's real, but the real part of it is so restricted, is so narrow, that it becomes kind of unreal in that there's no reach beyond it. There are walls around it. So if you're in a room surrounded by walls, to the rest of the world, you're not real. You see what I mean? In a restricted world, you're not real. Augmented reality gives us a big world, a big world. We are open up to the world and the world is open up to us. And so in the metaverse, we saw this with Will Smith's clip. I started this talk with Will Smith's clip on social media of him doing thriller movie stuff in the metaverse. He joined the metaverse, kind of. That's what the whole thing was about. Will Smith is joining the metaverse. And what we see with that is how he augmented his reality. No longer is Will Smith just sitting here, but he's his avatar, of course. In the metaverse, you have an avatar, which is you. And it's doing fantastic, amazing things. Augmented reality. It's a reality that is more than reality. And I hope that makes sense. We want to get a full essence of these things until we experience them, right? Until we experience them. We haven't experienced them yet, so we can only talk about them in terms of how we imagine them to be. And of course now we can look at a lot of clips. Zuckerberg has one where he's fencing with somebody, with his own avatar, he's fencing. And there are many other clips out there that shows how the metaverse is working. But people would say to us, I'm not going to listen to you for an hour, drone on and talk about the future with metaverse and NFT and crypto and all those things, because they're like side things. They don't cut on mainstream society. Tomorrow morning we gotta wake up and go work at our office or deal with COVID or look after our family and pay our mortgage. We don't have time for this kind of thing. When society changes, we will go with the flow. And that's fine if that's you. That's fine if that's you. That's not us and our crowd. We don't want to be. We want to ride the wave. We want to ride the wave, and that's the kind of people we're looking for. People who are ambitious and hungry. Malcolm, my friend, who is also a shareholder in the company, just called me before the show and he said, you know what? NFT looks. This is a guy who is senior, right? He's retired, real estate agent. He did well in Canada, but he's gonna hear me say this. But Malcolm, he's senior. He's retired, and yet he's saying to me, let's get on the NFT bandwagon, right? And I have people here, we do cryptocurrency, we do mining and all those things with coins, because we are getting on a bandwagon. And why should we do that and stay quiet and don't share it with our people? We want our people to benefit too. Let us all come on this together. I want everybody I know, family, friends, and foes even, because I have my foes, my enemies. We're human beings together. We're human beings together. And if society is moving into a new realm of this answering this question that we've asked on the show so many times, which is one of our drivers, one of our motivation is, what does it mean to be a human being in the 21st century? And that question applies to every single human being. It doesn't apply to the ambitious, to the hungry, to the ones who really want to achieve greatness, and the originals and the visionaries, which are the ones we reach out to. It applies to everybody. That question applies to everybody. What does it mean for you to be a human being in the 24th century? This is what this show is setting out to answer. What's possible? What can we imagine that is possible for tomorrow? Now we can sit back and say, oh, I'm going to enjoy today because today is important. And tomorrow is going to take care of itself and we're going to be okay and we don't need to worry about anything. And yes, I agree with that sentiment, and I support that sentiment. But is it good enough? Is it good enough? Is it good enough to just sit here and breeze back and say tomorrow is going to take care of itself? The whole world, the entire world did that when smartphones came out. We were caught by surprise. Well, especially the older people. A lot of us maybe who were younger, we weren't caught by surprise because we didn't know society wasn't supposed to change. When you were young, you realize you don't know if you don't know things, right? You don't know if change is fast or change is slow or whatever. So society is changing and you adapt with it. In fact, young people, because they change so much in their own life, in their own biology. Kids who grew up and became teenagers and their whole body start changing, you have different biology. They can accept change because everything in their own life is changing. Their own biology is changing, much less society. But when you get older, the older crowd, the 20-year-old, not 20s, but 30s maybe, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, they don't accept change because you think the way life has been for the past 2-3 decades is how it's supposed to be. And we're not going to look at the change. So when smartphones happened, the older people, the older generation, were caught by surprise. They had absolutely no clue that landlines. In fact, I remember talking to older people in my family and even friends, and saying to them, even as late as 2015, 2014, that time period, you don't need a house phone anymore. You don't need a line phone anymore. Why do you still have a line phone? And they would be baffled. Why don't I need a line phone? But now people hardly have line phones, right? Everybody has cell phones. When that, and I'm using that as an example, when that switch happened, when technology came into being, when the internet started out, when personal computers, all these happened in the 90s, personal computers, the internet became mainstream, and cell phones became mainstream. When those things happened, nobody was prepared for it. The average person wasn't prepared for it. The big companies did it. Silicon Valley, for example. Silicon Valley rolled out everything. You had Samsung, you had, Google was from 1998. Who were the early internet companies? We were maybe Netscape, Yahoo. Those companies rolled it out from Silicon Valley and they said to the world, here, we are giving you a new world. And we just incorporated it and gradually made it a part of our life. Made our life a part of it. Personal computing, internet, and smartphones. Today is different, my friend. Today is very, very different. Today is so different. You know why? The change is happening so fast. But more importantly, the change is happening so radical. Not just land phone moving to cell phone. Not just our empty desk with a typewriter on it maybe moving into a personal computer. Not only from a life where we watch TV to the internet where we could browse and chat with people and go online, and even though they remember the early internet days when it's dial up, it goes trying to connect to the internet. Remember those days in the late 90s, early 2000s? Now it's different. Now it's so different. Now we have a world that is it's like a bullet train coming to us. Boom. It's coming so fast. The future is rushing towards us. We're not moving towards the future. We're standing there waiting. Not even waiting. We're standing there expecting nothing to happen. Expecting society to remain the same as it has always been. We're there like, I'm going to go to work tomorrow, I'm going to pay my bills, I'm going to retire one day, I'm going to have my grandchildren around, I'm going to, life is going to be the same as it always was. And suddenly we realize, boom, the carpet is pulled from under our lives. Like COVID. When COVID happened, it caught the entire humanity by surprise. Although Bill Gates and World Health Organization and experts were saying prepare for a pandemic, whether the pandemic was designed or not, the fact is, it happened. And when it happened, nobody was prepared for it. Nobody. Despite Bill Gates warning over and over that a global pandemic is coming. And other health experts. The same thing would happen with our future and with technology. We would see a sudden transformation when Zuckerberg is talking about it. When you're watching the news or you're watching me on this live and I'm in your living room with a hologram. The hologram is this little thing where I'm projected out of, and it's like I'm live there. The same with news anchors. You want to talk to your family overseas or some distant place, all you got to do is turn on the avatar, call them in, and boom, they're standing in front of you. This is within 2 years. The hologram. Check that out. The hologram. Flying taxis, self-driving cars, free Wi-Fi all over the world. It's an amazing future that is coming, and I do not want us to sit back and say we got caught by surprise. I do not want us to sit back and say, oh, what happened to me? Even now, there are a lot of people who are looking at what is going on Instagram, and you're staring at NFT, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin and Ethereum and all this. What is going on? What is that? And people ask me, what is this thing? Right? And I'm trying to learn it myself and understand it because it's a brand new world. And it's so real. It is so real. A lot of people, I have friends who are in their 60s and 70s and even in their 50s who say to me, that's a fad. NFT is a fad. Cryptocurrency is a fad. It's going to go away. It wouldn't last. And today, Bitcoin dropped like $17,000-$18,000 in its value. And everybody said to me, well, not everybody, but some people said to me, oh, you see, it's a fad, it's going to go away, it's just a trend, it's just something people are playing with. Not true, not true. Crypto is here to stay. And it's volatile, of course it's volatile. And it will always be volatile. It won't be a stable currency like fiat money is. And many times fiat money is not even stable. Look at Venezuela or different places. But the more important thing with crypto is that it democratizes the global economy, where every human being has absolutely equal access to wealth. All it's based on is your creativity. So I want to emphasize today that three things I want to emphasize today. The future is about three things. Technology, which is NFT and crypto, and NFT, crypto, and there's one, AR, augmented reality, right? Forget AI because AI actually operates not by itself. They let it loose and they have to shut down a few programs because AI. There was one AI at Facebook talking to a different AI and they developed their own language. Think of this. This is happening. So one artificial intelligence program and another artificial intelligence program, both designed and developed by Facebook and put into the world of the internet, and they started learning by themselves and developed themselves, and they learned a language that only the two of them could communicate. And so Facebook programmers are listening to this thing. What are they saying? What are these two AI communicating about? And they couldn't figure it out because the language is strange. And they had to kill both AI. They had to shut them down. There is something called GPT-3, where GPT-3, let me just say GPT-3, which is a complex world of all the back-end information, all the programming information on the internet is made available to this pool. They had GPT-2 and now GPT-3 and GPT-4 is coming out soon, which will be even more powerful. So basically all the companies and the countries of the world decided, let's take our silo servers and databases and lump them all into a pool. And they call it GPT-3, right? And GPT-4 is going to be out maybe by spring next year, which is an upgrade of GPT-3. And out of GPT-3 is where these AIs are coming. So they have access to all the programming and all the content on the internet in this pool. And so the programmers, they develop an AI, like the basic programming, and you send the programming in there, self-teaching. And the program will teach itself. Picking up stuff, for example, they learn how to recognize an apple. If an AI is put into a robot, and the robot is looking at an apple, the AI could go into this program and say, oh, this matches this image, and the name on it is an apple, and the robot will literally tell you that's an apple. When they never saw one before, nobody ever programmed that apple into the robot. You get my point? It's so sophisticated. So AI we won't be able to touch, but augmented reality and things like NFT and crypto, that's the future of technology. Now, how can you benefit from that? We're wrapping up now. How can you benefit from this new world that is opening up? There's only one way. There is only one way. This is why we exist. You have to mediate you. Now, this is what we're going to talk about tomorrow as well. I leave it open for tomorrow, but today I'll just explain from my perspective what I understand mediating you to me. And the concept comes, of course, from, and I think RV talked about it, where this influencer online who was interviewing Zuckerberg, he said something that Marshall McLuhan was the first academic who came out with this idea that technology is an extension of our lives, right? And so Marshall McLuhan, back in the 80s and the 70s and the 60s, he was writing books and on all these TV stations and stuff. I studied him in my media programs, his work, and my media education. And Marshall McLuhan said that, for example, let me just give some weird examples. The car and the plane were an extension of our legs. They allowed us to move faster. And he didn't have the cell phone back, and he didn't have the personal computer. So he couldn't say anything about that, really. But the computer was an extension of ourselves as well. But more importantly, and Gary Vee, the influencer, I guess he knows about Marshall McLuhan, he's a bright guy. He touched on this. He said the smartphone is literally an extension of our soul. It extends us out, and it's so true. This is an extension of you, it's an extension of me, right? And when we put on that smart glass, the AR glass, we are merging that extension. It's no longer far from us. It's no longer away from us when we get a notification, gotta pick it up and check it. No, it's literally on that's what's going on. So we're bringing back technology that is an extension of us to merge with us. And of course, eventually it's going to go to the point where they're going to have the microchip and they're going to put it inside of us. That's coming in 25 years. For now, let's enjoy the wearable, bringing the technology close to us, and it's right here being worn on us, right? And what is that? It's what Marshall McLuhan was talking about. It is the mediated you. So the future is about the mediated Sean, about the mediated you, whoever you are watching the show. You are being mediated. Now, how do you take advantage? Well, I don't like the word advantage. How do you jump on the opportunity that is opening up here? You have to mediate who you are to play in the AR world or augmented reality world, in the metaverse and all that. You got to become a mediated you. You gotta merge with media, you gotta go into media. And I'll explain all that tomorrow. What I mean is, so that's what NFT is. NFT is a mediated version of your creativity that is tied in with cooperative money. I don't know how to break this down, but it's so fascinating to me. NFT is your creativity. Now they're doing artists who are big on NFT and graphic designers and musicians now are jumping on board with it, and they're taking their cover albums and making it into an NFT. My books, I want to take the covers and make them into an NFT. We're working on that right now. So when you do that, you're mediating your creativity. You get it? You're taking your creativity, an aspect of your creativity, and making it into a media product. And that media product, when it converts to NFT and it's traded through crypto platforms online, it becomes cooperative money, in that everybody who's trading the NFT gets a piece of the pie. You get it? You get it? That's the new world. That's the new world we're moving into. We're moving into a world where you have to be creative, you have to mediate you have to turn your intellectual property into media products, digital products that are traded online, and NFT and crypto. And with that, I'm going to end the show tonight. I hope I made some sense. I hope I'm clear enough in expressing my thoughts, because the thoughts are there, but sometimes to put it in words is not the easiest thing in the world, right? But this is what we're talking about this week. I hope you join me tomorrow, because we're going to continue with this mediating you and what it means, what mediating you is all about. Remember, it all ends up actually. We developed our business formula, CMQ, 3, 4, 5 years ago. I gotta check the date. So somewhere between 4 or 5 years ago. And it's astonishing to me that when we developed that formula, we didn't know how fast this would happen. And today, here it is. Where the formula talks about your message, mediate or your creativity, mediating that creativity, and sharing it with the world for cooperative money. That was the idea behind our business model. And today we are seeing it played out with the crypto world and NFT world and in the metaverse. It's astonishing. It's really, really amazing. And so we are here to engage with you so that we are all awoken. Our consciousness is there where the future is happening. Not left back, wondering, overwhelmed. What is going on and what role do I play in this? We are confident enough to jump on the bandwagon, to be on that train track, and to move forward into the future. This week, this month is all about the future we're talking about. And don't think that we are saying put your head in the cloud and don't think about today. We're not saying that at all. We're saying be wise and take today seriously, because today is important. It determines how your future unfolds. But more importantly, focus your consciousnness and your attention on what 2022 is going to be like and how we're moving into 2022. And by this time 2022, Christmas time 2022, let's position ourselves that we can look back on 2021 Christmas and see we made some progress. And we were able to ride the wave of the future that is coming. Okay? So thank you for being with me tonight. I think it's windy and weather, they were giving some warning in our area. So I'll drive home and get home safe and enjoy your evening. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.